Welcome to In Tune. I'm your co-host, Matt Rector, an aspiring luthier from Baltimore, Maryland.
And I'm your other co-host, Ethan Morset, a music producer and founder of Blue Haven Music based in Minnesota.
Our goal is to provide value to enterprising musicians, artists, and craftspeople by sharing our conversations and the lessons we've learned along the way.
If you like our content, help us out by following us and giving us a positive rating on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. Tune in for new episodes on the first and third Wednesday of each month.
This is episode 36. Today, Ethan and I are discussing stress and stress management. Where's that goat card? You need to pull that out.
It's in the envelope. I can't pull it out no more.
Oh man, that would have been perfect for that.
I can try to do it again. That sounds like it, right?
Pretty close. Yeah, so Ethan has a birthday card he's giving to someone that has a crazy goat sound in it. So that's for background. That's what he was going for.
Yeah.
But anyway, this subject came up because Ethan and I have both been feeling a little bit stressed out at work as of lately with our 9 to 5 jobs and trying to balance that with our other goals for Rector Guitars and Blue Haven Music.
Yep.
So today we wanted to talk a little bit about stress and stress management. So I guess first off, Ethan, perhaps without naming names or anything, why are you feeling stressed at work right now? What's going on with that?
So the number one reason I'm feeling stressed at work is because I'm not I'm not drinking enough alcohol in the evenings.
Wow. Okay, well.
Okay.
This
I don't know if you guys know this, but alcohol is a great stress management coping mechanism. Okay, sorry. I don't know. I think there's a couple things. I think with your workplace, as an employee and not a manager, you don't have a lot of control over what's on your plate, basically. And I think because of that, you don't always have control over how busy you are and how stressed you are, right? You do, but in a sense you don't, right? Because whatever is on your plate is up to your manager. And so there's just a lot going on at work. And I'm not, to be completely honest, not dealing with it super well. And I'm fine, right? But I'm getting frustrated and stressed out and overwhelmed, right? And none of those things are good. And on top of that, as Matt probably understands, I put additional pressures on myself for my business. And so then there's that extra layer of stress. Like I need to be making progress on my business every day, for example, or I need to be clocking in this many hours towards my business every day. And just a lot of that adds up, and it can become stressful because not only are you stressed out about your job, you're also stressed out about your side hustle / business that you're trying to start up. That it adds up to a lot of stress, and that's not good for you long term. It's not good for you in the short term, even, really. I don't know about you, Matt, because we haven't really talked about this a lot personally outside of the podcast, but I'm just not doing a very good job at stress management. I'm kind of stressed out right now between those two things. So I don't know. Work has got me stressed out. The music stuff's got me stressed out, but the music stuff at least is because I'm putting my own pressures on myself to make progress and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
One thing I can control, one thing I can't.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you have been stressed lately. I mean, that's not something I'd, obviously I don't want to hear that my friend is stressed out. Like that's not good, but I suppose that's life sometimes.
And it's all relative too.
Sure. But that doesn't invalidate the way that you are feeling about something.
Yep. My
Um,
emotions are real, people.
okay. Um, yeah, I understand. I'd love to ask you more about that if I also understand why on this podcast at this point in time we may have to be a little bit intentionally vague about some of these things. Um,
Right.
yeah, so I get what you're saying about management sometimes maybe having potentially unrealistic expectations. And I think sometimes that comes from management not actually really being a part of every day. So, like, or being in the trenches with you, if you will.
Yep.
So, one challenge that I sort of encounter in my workplace sometimes is I really like my manager actually. He generally doesn't micromanage, but um, a lot of the tasks that I do, he doesn't really do regularly or doesn't know how to do even. And I don't really fault him for that, like he has other things that he has to be doing. But sometimes he will, put a project on our plate and not really have a really good gauge of what that actually means in terms of time commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because, he might not have like a great handle on what those tasks actually break down into and what that looks like in terms of time.
Right.
Um, so I do think when you're a manager, it's important to try to be aware of those things and know what is going on in your team,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can assign tasks appropriately. But I also understand that there's, sometimes with things like that, you're sort of stuck in the middle, and they might be answering to someone higher up the chain, and they have other things they have to worry about, and dealing with the minutia of what you're doing on a day to day basis, um, they might just not have the bandwidth for.
Yep.
Um, so I don't know. I think sometimes just communicating with your manager effectively as best as you can to help them understand like maybe better expectations can be helpful. But you have to be careful with that sometimes. You got to do it in a way that's productive and not um, accusing, I guess.
Yeah. That's the hard. I mean, we're talking about the not the side hustle part of stress, but the workplace part of stress right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the frustrating part, is because no one really knows what the solution is. Um, Everyone, obviously, a company wants maximum productivity out of their employees that they can get.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you balance that between getting like the maximum productivity but making sure your employees are still happy? Um, and I don't know the right balance of that, but like, um, all I know is like at the end of the day, I'm concerned about me, and I know that sounds selfish, but why should I be concerned about anyone else, right? Like the reason I have a job is to make money for me to support my lifestyle. So why would I be more interested in the interests of my company if it's not somehow benefiting me as well? Like a
Mhm.
relationship with an employer should be a mutually beneficial thing. It should be beneficial for both me and the employer, not just one or the other, right?
Yeah, correct.
And so I think sometimes what happens with companies is they hire you and they almost unintentionally see you as a piece of property that they are paying for. And they forget that there should be something mutual there. That and again, no one's doing this intentionally, right? But I think management, upper management, they're so disconnected from like what I'm doing as a person that they don't get that. They don't see that. They don't understand that. And they're thinking high level, which is their job. Their job is to think high level. But what that translates to is management that's not like very in tune with what the like actual workers are doing is you see upper management making decisions that ultimately affect the people doing the actual work. And a lot of times, if they're not in tune, pun not intended, um, if they're not in tune with what like it actually takes to do that work, they can put a lot of load on their workers, and stress them out without really understanding that they're doing that, you know? And so like I get it. It's the disconnect between upper management, middle management, and the actual workforce.
Hmm.
I don't have a solution to that problem, but I don't know. I mean, I still think it's a problem, right? No one is
Yeah,
intentionally
absolutely.
prioritizing the workload. Is it my job to tell my manager that I have too much? Even if I do, does that mean it will translate to any effective change?
No, and the
Uh,
unfortunate thing is, I think sometimes it can result in negative, you know, depending on, how receptive your leaders are, it can result in negative consequences for you
yeah,
or
like
for,
Ethan has a bad attitude about work, you know, like that kind
hmm,
of stuff,
yeah.
even though there might be a real problem. So I don't have a solution. I just know that that translates to stress for me. And it sounds like, you're being sympathetic to your boss, which is great. Um, but like you probably have moments in your career where you deal with excess amounts of stress. And
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
same type of situation where like upper management and the people actually doing the work are not like in on the same page, right? They're not in tune with each other. They're like, oh, we can do all of these things at the same time, you know, even though we only have this many workers.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, this could turn into a real like, for lack of a better word, a bitch fest, right? Like where corporate America's messed up and blah 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 blah. It's not really about that. It's just that you're stressed, right? Like the situation is understandable and the situation causes you to be stressed, and how do you deal with that? Like you can't, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud right now, but you can't fix the problem by yourself. Um
I think it's about finding balance and also being able to disconnect. For me, like, if your goal is to be a music producer and the your computer programming job is just sort of a means to an end, that's great. I mean, you don't, not everyone has to, in a perfect world, everyone would, have a fulfilling career doing something that they love and enjoy, but the reality is that that's not really how the world works, and that's fine. Lots of people, their job is just their job, and like you said, it affords them their lifestyle and, among other things. And in your situation, I think that if you can maybe try to remember that and like kind of disconnect, like, I think that might help. At
yep.
least I know for me that that's, that's been a struggle, and that has been something that's helped me personally. Is when I'm at work, like I'm gonna put my best foot forward and do. And I know this is I'm not telling you anything new, but like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm
I'm just speaking like about my experience that I'm gonna put my best foot forward and just do the best that I can and put in a good day's work. And then when I go home and I'm not at work, I'm going to try to disconnect from that. And sometimes, so now that we've sort of gotten a little bit more settled in our new place,
hmm
you know, I've been noticing sometimes after work, I come home, I take my dog on a nice little walk for a little while, or I will, watch TV for a half hour or an hour. And sometimes that's, or I'll go work out or go swimming or something. The complex I live in has a pool,
hmm
and um, just that hour or so um, before I get back into like trying to work in the workshop, I do think really is a nice thing for me
hmm
and has been something really healthy for me. And I know how you are, Ethan. I've lived with you, like we've been roommates before. And
Can't wait to hear
well,
this.
I just I know that you always want to make the most of every day towards your goals.
Yeah.
And that is not a bad thing. But I also know that sometimes means you are perhaps overly ambitious with trying to maximize your time.
Yeah.
And um do you feel like you have enough like relaxation time program? Like, I mean, maybe I shouldn't even use the word program. Do you feel like you have enough relaxation time into your schedule, or do you feel like you maybe need to do something to build in some more of that?
Um yeah, I hear you. Um that's something that's been kind of on my mind lately because okay, you get this, right? Because you're working on um a side business.
Mm-hmm.
Is working on a side business. So yes, like when you're stressed at work, a very important part of that aspect is like how do you balance what you're stressed out at work with like life? Like people who are not working on a business, they can this is oversimplified because people have kids, right? But like and other things going on in their life. But like for somebody who's working on a side business, like you feel like every at least for me I guess I shouldn't speak on behalf of everybody, but you feel like every hour outside of work is an opportunity to like progress your business forward, and like the faster you can do that the faster you'll get to your goal, right? So then like there's almost this like motivation to like use every hour
Mm-hmm.
you can towards your business, and then you just sort of like sacrifice your free time for that.
Yeah.
There's that pressure, at least. It doesn't have to be that way, but there's that pressure. And I think what you're talking about is me sacrificing my free time and my time to relax, like that 1 hour a day or whatever, at the to push the business forward or in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, that totally happens. And that's something that I probably actually need to work on. The thing that sucks about that is it slows down the progress of the business, but it's ultimately better for your like mental health and everything. Um, and like at the end of the day, progress forward is progress forward, whether you made 15 minutes of progress or you made 2 hours of progress, right? Um, and like learning to be okay with that is part of it too. Making 15 minutes of progress versus making 2 hours of progress. And um, yeah, I think it's a part of it is probably right now I'm stressed out at work. And to kind of compensate for that, I need to relax more, but I'm not relaxing more because I'm working on Blue Haven music. with the time that maybe I need to be relaxing. So it's like, how do you figure that balance out?
I
Because
I definitely get that struggle. Yeah, I mean, um, part of the reason I brought that up is that's something that I have a hard time with, and I will definitely do the same thing where I like want to spend as many hours as I can working on my goals for Rector guitars and ukuleles, and really it's just been recently I've been sort of forcing myself to relax a little bit more. Um, and the ironic thing that I've been finding is that giving myself that little bit of buffer between my work day of my 9 to 5 and then going into like coming home and immediately like doing chores and then like with whatever time I have left over, like trying to work on you know the workshop and building guitars and that sort of thing. I found that if I give myself even just like a half hour to an hour, walk my dog, watch an episode of a TV show, that when I do get into my workshop, even if I have an hour less, so maybe I get, 1 hour in the shop rather than two.
hmm
I'm finding that my time spent there is ending up being more productive and is also just more enjoyable. And I think some of that is I have a hard time just going from like one thing right into the next.
sure.
And but I want to do that and I have a tendency to try to like push myself to try to do that. But I probably am not at my best all the
Right.
time when I do that.
Certainly not after a long work day.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
just, I mean, I'm not here, gonna sit here and try to tell you what to do, but maybe just, just something to think about or to try.
Yeah, yeah. No,
It's helped me.
it's something that's been on my mind a lot lately is um I'm bad at relaxing right now. Um
It's such a funny statement.
it is a hilarious statement.
I'm bad at relaxing.
Um uh
I get that though, because honestly, my wife would probably say the same thing that I'm bad at relaxing.
um so I know I need to work on that as a way of dealing with stress, right? But I feel
Hmm.
like, I mean, I gotta imagine that other people who are in there's hundreds of other people who are working a 9 to 5 job and are also trying to start a side hustle at the same time, where they're like, it's almost, I feel like there more people are trying to do both things at the same time rather than being like, I'm gonna quit my 9 to 5 and then focus on my side hustle 100%, right?
Hmm.
Like most people are that are actually trying to start their own business, I would imagine, um, are doing what we're doing, where they're working a 9 to 5 or working like some kind of job and then trying to also make their business work. And so that can like be a really hard balance because yeah, like it's understandable why with every hour that you have outside of work you want to hustle and hustle and hustle. Um and maybe it's not every hour outside of work, maybe it's every outside hour outside of work and outside of the time that your kids are awake, right? Let's say you have kids and you're still trying to start a side business and you're trying to like maximize every hour that you possibly can. Like
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you still have to find a balancing act because like you could sacrifice sleep. Like you could choose to not sleep. You could sleep like an hour a night and then focus the rest of the time on your business. There has to be a
Hmm.
balancing act. It's really tricky to define that, especially in today's culture where productivity is everything and it seems like relaxation doesn't matter. I mean, you see that in corporate America where you're working for your boss, where it's like productivity is the only thing that matters. Balance isn't that important. Um, because think about it, like you hear the classic like employers are always asking their employees to do more with the same amount of resources. Like um that's like a common like phrase almost, right? Um and in a lot of ways it is happening. Um and it's the same thing outside of work is like you're trying to do as much as you possibly can with the time that you have because you want to maximize your life or whatever, right? Like you want to get to your goal faster, you want to get to your business faster, you want to quit your job so you can focus on your business full time. I get that hustle. um but at some point there has to be a balancing act. Like you could always take that hustle culture to an extreme and you could be like, well, I'm not going to sleep, right? I'm just going to focus full time on this, and that is it. Um, and I think the first thing that goes is relaxation time. For sleep goes next, probably, or one of the like it's one of the next things, but like relaxation is the first thing to go, and it's like at that point, then you're not taking care of yourself. Like you're not like you're taking some of the enjoyment out of life temporarily on the day to day just to make your business get there faster. But like, even if you do that, you still could be doing that for years before you get to success. Like,
Hmm.
and is that sustainable? And I think that's part of the question too, is like what you're doing, is it sustainable right now? And like, in one sense, yes, like what I'm doing is sustainable in the fact that like as long as I like clench my teeth and and just keep going, like sure I could keep going, but like again, like I don't know. I feel like right now, and maybe you are actually better about this than I am. I need to do a better job at like figuring out how to be like okay with just like getting 30 minutes of progress for a day when I'm already busy with a full-time job and maybe some other things that are happening after work.
Hmm.
Like just getting like 15 minutes of work, maybe 30 minutes of work, and then literally just fucking watching an hour of a sitcom and being okay with that. Like, for a day, and just like that's me time that I need to like decompress, right? Like you got to remember when you're working a 9 to 5 job and then doing a side hustle, you are doing effectively like a 60-hour, potentially like a 60-hour a week job, right? As far as like effort goes, compared to what like 80% of the population is doing, which is literally just going to work every day and then coming home and doing their like routine outside of work. Again, people who have kids, like I know it's different, but um I don't know. You got to find that balance somehow. Um Whatever that is for you. I'm doing a shit job of it right now. I need to figure out how to like do a better job at that, whether it's like right now I need to be okay with getting 15 minutes of work done per day and being okay with that, and that's it, right? And right now I'm like, no, I need to get at least like an hour or two every single day, and that's just not realistic for like finding time to relax. You know what I mean? um
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't. I think in 2 hours, maybe an hour every day, but 2 hours a day is a lot. Um,
yes.
Especially when you have your job. And really, if you think about it, like, do you? I can't remember. You work in an office, right? You don't work from home.
Yeah, I have to go into work most days.
So, I mean, I know that you're in a little bit smaller town, so I imagine your
A
commute's a little
lot
bit different.
smaller.
Yeah. So,
I have a five
but for
minute
me,
commute.
yeah, I mean, but for me, like when I factor in my commute time, the time I'm spent like I actually spend at work, by the time I get home, like take care of my responsibilities, you know, take the dog out, get some exercise in, hopefully in the morning or in the evening, eat, maybe do some cooking, dishes, laundry, like all of that. There's really not a lot of time left in the day. And that's just all stuff I have to do to live. Um,
That's
you know,
survival mode.
so yeah, so like, and then adding, 2 hours on top of that for the other thing. Right now, I'm trying to be more okay with letting some of that go because to be honest, I haven't been very good about it either, and I often wouldn't get enough sleep. I'd stay up really late working on things like, um, I'm a bit of a night owl sometimes, and it was just becoming too much. So lately, I've been trying to like be more okay with like what you were saying. Like I'll sit and I'll watch an episode of a TV show, and then I might get an hour's worth of work done, and you know, I'm trying to be more okay with that rather than being like, oh man, I didn't finish this whole project tonight. Like,
Yeah. I think at the end, I was just talking about this with somebody else. I think at the end, if you can be okay with making 15 minutes of progress every day, or most days, not even every day, um, 15 minutes of progress, like, I
mm-hmm.
think I need to start learning to be okay with that. Um, I'm
Yeah,
saying that as somebody who doesn't have kids. And I'm not saying that people that have kids are like so much, like they're busier, but like, I don't know. We could get on a whole nother tangent about that. But um I think um I understand that, and in a sense I understand that um sometimes 15 minutes a day can be a lot for people, but like for me right now, like being okay with 15 minutes a day is maybe is fine. Like that's like a healthy balance. Like some days I'll get more than that done. But there's
mm-hmm.
days like today, for example, that I worked all day. I had an appointment after work that was an hour long, so from 4 to 5. I had to eat. We have this podcast tonight. 15 minutes of progress is okay on a night like that. Like I'm already putting
Yeah,
basically 10 hours in for just like appointments, other things outside of music. Like 15 minutes for a day like that is okay. And I
mm-hmm.
think one thing that, and I'm not good about doing that right now. I've been in stages where I was better about that, but like I need to return back to that. 15 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, anything you need to do to make progress is okay. With the exception that certain days you won't get that done, and that's okay as well. But like most days, getting like that small amount of progress.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like I've quoted him many times or like spoken about it, but like Rob Dial, like he says, like as long as you're making progress, as long as you're moving in the direction that you want to go, like eventually you'll get to your destination, right? So like with enough time, if you put 5 minutes into like a direction in your life that you're going, eventually, like if you think about it abstractly, like I'm moving from Owatonna to Minneapolis, right? Like with enough time, enough 5 minute increments, I will get there no matter what, right? As long
Mm-hmm.
as like I'm making direct progress in that direction. So if like you apply that to like a goal that you have, like eventually with enough time, 5 minutes over and over and over again will get you there. 15 minutes over and over again will get you there even faster. Um, so I think like being okay with that small amount of chunk of time each day is just a better way of looking at it than being like, I gotta put 2 hours in every day. I gotta like maximize every hour outside of work towards my thing, because there's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be certain days where that's just not realistic or healthy. Um,
Yeah.
and that's something I don't know. I'm struggling with right now. It sounds like you have struggled with in the past, and you are currently in a stage in your life where you are managing that better.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say better, but I mean, yes, recently I would say better. Um, but it's an ongoing battle. But yes, I do think recently it's been better. So,
Yeah.
I think
I need to
also I'm
learn
just
from Matt. He's so wise.
I think this new space has really been a boon to my, you know,
Like work-life separation.
yeah, um the fact that it's, I have this workshop space in its own sort of separate room. Um yeah. I'm sitting here looking at my a tool, like a little Craftsman tool cabinet that I found at Goodwill for $30. So that was a good find. Sorry, a little sidebar, but I'm excited about that. But
Good job, Matt.
uh, yeah, well, actually, it was Abby who found it.
Good
So
job, Abby.
thank my wife.
Thanks,
Um,
Abby. Sorry for all those missed calls tonight. It's gonna sound so strange on the
oh
podcast.
my god,
Background.
I'm using her computer to FaceTime Ethan right now.
Yeah. So when he
We had some technical
calls me,
difficulties earlier.
and I don't answer in time, it shows missed call from his wife over and over again.
She needs to
Anyway,
talk to you, Ethan.
yeah, it's really important. It's about
She's got something to
Loki.
tell you.
It's about Loki.
Our dog.
um I don't know. Stress management and stress is a real thing, especially in today, where you feel like you need to be taking on everything and maximizing your life. The hopefully 100 years that you have of your life. Um, so I don't know. It's something that I know I need to like get a little bit better about. Like I don't need to drastically change anything. I just need to figure out how to like I need to make relaxation a priority in some way, shape, or form. Whether that is just only getting 15 minutes of progress done every day or cutting myself off by like 6 o'clock where I don't work after 6 o'clock, even for music or whatever it is. There's a lot of strategies. Or like Matt needs to take a break after work before he jumps into like what his luthier stuff. So like there's a lot of strategies that approach stress management and different things work for different people, but like yeah, I think it's easy for people like us to lose sight of relaxation at the expense like we focus on getting to our goals at the expense of our own like relaxation and like I mean at the end of the day people got to sleep, right? Like you can't survive on Red Bull your entire life, right? Like you'll die at age 30 if you try to survive on Red Bull without sleep, probably sooner than that. Like the rest is just part of life. You need it in some way, shape, or form. Um, it's different for everybody, but don't forget about it. Make sure you're doing it every day in some way. I don't.
Hmm.
I need to watch sitcoms more. That's my relaxation. Lay in bed and watch a sitcom. I'm like Abby, man. You said Abby's a TV junkie. TV's the main
She
way
is
to
she is a
relax.
TV junkie, and she'll watch the same sitcoms over and over. That's how she relaxes.
And dude, Abby's like the most relaxed person I know. So
Is she? That's
I don't know. I don't know. I I get the whole watching TV thing though. It is relaxing. It's funny because we live in a culture where like people watch too much TV. You should stop watching TV because you're wasting your life. Blah 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 blah, which is kind of true, right? Like you've heard that, right? Like Americans on average watch like 4 hours of TV a day, and then if you multiply that by like the number of years of your life by like the percentage of your day, it's like ends up being like years of your life that you're watching TV, right? So like there's that whole like you should stop watching TV because you're
yeah.
wasting years of your life on it.
I
Uh,
don't watch very much TV, but Yeah, to be honest, I really don't watch very much TV. But I don't know. That's weird. It sounds so weird to me to like say that I'm trying to watch more TV because for a long time, like I kind of had that mindset. Um,
It doesn't
but
have to be TV, right? But like for a lot of people, TV is a way to relax, right? So like there's a balance there. Like you can watch too much TV if you're like literally coming home and watching like 4 or 5 hours of TV every night. Maybe that's not a good thing. Um, maybe it's okay. It's your life, right? Like, maybe you're okay with devoting 10% of your life to TV. Uh,
that seems excessive.
but okay, 5% of your life to TV. That even will amount to years of your life. Um, but then there's the flip side, like people who just never relax. So like, I don't know, if TV is your way to relax, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, as long as you're getting the right balance for you. I don't know. My way to relax is probably TV, to be honest. Sitcoms and I don't do very much of that on a regular basis. So maybe I should watch. Maybe I'm gonna set a goal to watch 2 sitcom episodes every single night. I'm gonna do countercultural stuff.
I mean, you could just even start with just one. Like, I don't know.
I'll work my way up to 2.
Yeah, there you
I'm
go.
gonna work my way up to an hour of TV every night.
Ethan has a goal of relaxation.
I have a goal of watching more TV. I'm not American enough. Anyway, this I don't know. I say it jokingly, like for real though, like stress management is an important thing, especially if you're doing stuff outside of work, like like a business on top of like work, because you're already working 8 hours, which like Matt, you've talked about. We sleep if we're supposed to sleep 8 hours and we're supposed to work 8 hours, and then even that extra third that is not sleeping or working is spent to basically preparing or commuting or whatever. Like you have a very small sliver of time that's actually your time. So like it is important to figure out like how to relax and all of that, and make sure you're like play Stardew Valley. Like I don't know, like watch TV. Like it's okay to do like an hour of that every night. You need some time to decompress. Or most nights, maybe not every night, but whatever works for you.
All right. Well, did we have anything else to discuss for today?
I don't know. Have we covered stress management?
Maybe not. I think the main takeaways were just being able to disconnect from your um, responsibility sometimes. Um,
Yes.
if you have a 9 to 5 job and you're also trying to do something on the side, being able to disconnect from both of those things that are work related, essentially.
Yes.
Um, being able to clock out, even if you're, salaried, if you will, but being able to, sort of leave those problems at the door or in the office or wherever, and then come home and spend a little bit of time relaxing and then work towards some of your other goals and finding a healthy balance. So I think it really was just about being able to disconnect and find balance.
Summarized well by Mr. Rector.
All right. Well, I think Ethan's needs some relaxation time.
I
He's
need to
looking a little
sleep.
delirious.
Hey,
Yeah, he needs some sleep.
shut the up.
All right, everyone. That is it for episode 36. Until next time, stay stress free and stay tuned.